Connecting with Pets, a Forever Vets podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our first podcast episode where we'll be discussing everything regarding fear-free practices in the veterinary industry. We have two practice managers with us today. We have Samantha and Nicole from our Bartram Market location and our Jacksonville Beach location. They're such huge proponents of fear-free practices, and they've been incorporating these techniques into their daily practices for years. So I'll go ahead and get the conversation started by asking Samantha, what is fear-free and why are you such a huge proponent of it?
This is one of my favorite things to talk about in vet med. Fear-free is really a blanket term for several different things that we do. Its goal, though, is to minimize the stress, the fear, the anxiety that our patients experience, our clients experience, and we experience on a daily basis. So I think obviously reducing fear, anxiety, and stress is anybody, especially these days, goal. And incorporating it into veterinary medicine is a huge milestone for us. Taking away from those appointments back in the 90s. I don't know if anybody else went to vet visits when they were kids, but it wasn't necessarily the wholesome family visits that we do have nowadays, or that we aim to provide with that fear-free method. I love it so much because I do come from a background that involved not so fear-free methods. It does have such a beautiful intention, those high volume, low-cost clinics that are there for spay, neuter, community animals, there for shelters and things like that. They have such a strong purpose for animal care, but they do operate a little bit differently. And I think that when I came to Forever Vets and I heard about what fear-free was, for me, I'm going to be scared. I mean, what do you mean I can't hold the cat? I can't scruff a cat. I can't, you just can't approach these animals the same way. But once you start practicing it and you start seeing the way that it unfolds for these patients, it's life-changing. It really is. I know Nicole and I have witnessed many changes in patients who had seen other hospitals. Yep. And they come in and they just gloat about how their dog is different coming here. How, like, why are you excited to be here? Like, this isn't you. And that's how I know, and Nicole knows, we're doing exactly what we're meant to be doing with this fear-free structure.
Yeah, it's their favorite place to be, which is the weirdest conversation to have with owners with their pets coming to the vet. So 100%.
So Nicole, how did you find fear-free and how did you carry it with you?
The previous hospital that we worked at together, the doctor there wanted to implement fear-free. And at first, everybody was kind of like, what do you mean? What is fear-free? What does that look like? Because it really hadn't been brought into the company in a way that was productive, I feel like. There was a lot of like a negativity when it came to talking about fear-free because it seemed like it would be almost...
It is a huge challenge, yeah.
The challenge is going to be the biggest thing. Yeah, so we started it. I think you had originally brought up doing the fear-free certification, and that doctor kind of pushed that along for the technicians to be a part of it too. So I went and I got certified. I did the course. I read up on everything, and that's when the big light bulb clicked for me, because I was like, oh, this is not just about not scruffing cats and taking 30 minutes to do a room that should have been 15. It was more about what is going to work best for that pet. When they walk through the door, what are they feeling, or how are they feeling, and how can we make their visit much better? So that's kind of where it stuck with me. Then we had several clients after starting that whole practice that were really on board with it. They were telling us, like we were saying before, like, oh, blah, blah, blah feels really great now coming back to the vet hospital, or like, I don't know why, but they're excited every time we get in the car to come here. So it was really nice to see the big change from, how we were doing things before, which was not bad. It's not like the way we were handling things was negative in any sense, but now doing it fear-free just brought more attention to the patients rather.
Yeah, and it gives us an opportunity to really get to know our clients better too, because we are getting to know our patients, but cats and dogs don't talk. So there's only one way to really get to know them, what they enjoy, what they like, and that's getting to know their owners, our clients. So they are a key factor in fear-free practicing and ensuring that these fear-free visits start ahead of time before they get in the car. The moment they even think about coming to the vet, calling us for an appointment, or getting in the car to head over, they need to like already have fear-free measures in place, because cats and dogs don't understand the full English language, but they understand the feeling that the owner gets when they schedule that appointment, or when they come to the realization that I have to take you to the vet. It's removing that stigma, that fear, that anxiety, and that stress of going to the vet for humans also, because once you start feeling it, your pet is going to feel it too, because we are so emotionally connected to these animals nowadays on a whole nother level. I mean, like I said, I take Bella everywhere with me, and so I didn't have her the other day, and I felt almost off. Like, I looked over in the car and she wasn't there, and I was like, I'm alone. So I think it's important, and let's say I have to take her to another vet hospital for something, and it's a more advanced procedure. I'm going to be naturally stressed out about it. And is she going to feel that too? Is she going to display herself differently than she would at the hospital with me?
100%.
So knowing that that hospital is taking fear-free measures will make me as an owner feel better about what they're going to be doing with her. Knowing that they're going to address her fear, her anxiety, and her stress during that visit, it's going to bring mine down. Therefore, it's going to bring hers down. And hopefully everybody's just going to be less stressed, including that staff. Granted, she's only like an 8-pound little ball of fluff, but bigger dogs too, that goes for any size dog. Obviously, cats are going to be a little different story. Cats are not as compliant with fear-free techniques as dogs are. Yep. That's why, that's where the owner's compliance really comes in too. Understanding that a towel burrito is a very safe, very, very safe method for fear-free handling. We actually have a cat, he's known as Towel Cat, because the owner said, the owner said that he just does better. So this was something that a previous clinic had discovered and told the mom, and she was able to bring that with her.
That's awesome.
So I love when clients are educated about their pets and what works best for them during these visits, and being so involved in their care and helping guide us so that everybody can leave happy and healthy and wanting to come back.
Yeah, I feel like the owner compliance about it is super important. If we're going to implement the fear-free transaction with the pets, the owners need to be on board with it too. Not every owner can afford to come back with pharmaceutical intervention. So that's our pain management or our sedatives, right? They can't come back for another visit, pay for the next visit, and then try to do that fear-free approach again. That's not something that a lot of owners are able to do. So making sure that, okay, well, if we can't do it this way, what are some other ways that we can implement it? Does that mean, and maybe not in this case, but happy visits? We've had plenty of happy visits with owners coming in. What does a happy visit look like? It's just literally them coming to the hospital, getting on the scale, getting some pets from the receptionist, coming to the back for a minute just to get some good treats, maybe some peanut butter, or maybe one of the favorite treats that they have that the owner brought. Like, happy visits are another necessity of fear-free too, especially if you have those huge anxious dogs. We want to make sure that they're associating the vet hospital with positive vibes and good feelings. So that way, when we do have to intervene with any kind of treatment, they're ready for it. They feel happy and they're already comfortable in that situation. I think.
But I think talking about those visits, now we do call them victory visits at my hospital, because I like to play on words with the V and the V. And so one thing that when you're talking about these victory visits is not making it sound like the owner has to go out of their way for a whole nother appointment.
Yes.
That we have enough going on in our day-to-day lives, and already coming here for this visit is a big enough milestone for them. I'm so glad they're here and we're doing the things that we need to do.
Yeah.
And now I'm about to ask them to come in next week and the week after that, and maybe the week after that, and who knows how long this could possibly take. But I think number one, explaining the benefits that you're going to receive from bringing your dog. Please don't do victory visits, cats, but bringing your dog in for these victory visits. I mean, do you go to the park? Do you guys ever go to Petco? Do you ever go to PetSmart? Do you ever go to anywhere regularly together? Do you go get a pup cup? I mean, we have Dunkin' and Starbucks right by us, and I know y'all go get your pup cups. Stop by and see us. It's a quick 5-minute thing, and you can call us ahead of time if we really don't have time. Just ask us if we have time to do a victory visit. I am so happy to do a victory visit. It's free.
Yeah.
We don't charge a thing for it. We want to help your pet feel more comfortable, and you can be involved in these, or if you'd rather us walk them, it's going to be tailored to your pet, because that's what Fear Free is.
I was going to say, that's the benefit of Fear Free, is it's such a, I think you said the term umbrella, or blanket rather term, because Fear Free is so individualized for each pet. It's not something where
just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have many pets that handle things differently, and there's different tools that we like to implement when we're talking about Fear Free. I, for one, coming into my own practice that wasn't Fear Free oriented yet, made the call that I wanted to get a air helmet, or an air muzzle, I believe is what the actual term for it is called. But essentially it's a astronaut helmet for a cat, or a small dog, depending on anatomy. But what this is it stops the animal from having to have a muzzle on that is restrictive of keeping their jaw shut. It gives them the ability to kind of look around and still feel less restrained, if you will. So when I ordered this at my hospital back then, everybody looked at me like I had 6 heads, because what do you mean? What are we putting this on our dogs for? Or our cats? Why do we have to put an air muzzle on the cat? Well, it was very fun for me to see the change in how the visits went with our cats. So instead of scruffing our more fractious cats, or fighting with cats who didn't have their front claws, because declawed cats seem to be more of the biters. That's their only way of defense. So of course they're going to use those fangs. Putting that air muzzle on gave us more confidence in handling them, which then put the cats more at ease with being handled. And I think the air muzzle is probably one of my favorite things that we utilize, although we have many different tools. I'm sure you guys have some at your hospital as well.
So being on the subject of the tools that we use in Fear Free, I do want to talk about, cat visits and carriers. One of the biggest complaints we get, and some of the most inconvenient holdups for our clients, is getting the cat in the carrier. And I know this struggle so well. I had Aslan years ago, and he was a 20-pound cat, and we would race each other around the couch just because he knew, he would watch where I was going, I would watch where he was going, and I'd have the carrier, and he'd just outsmart me every move. He only had one eye, and he got me every time. But I would get him eventually, and I would have to, just bear hug this huge cat into the carrier and hold the carrier between my knees and just somehow get him in there to go to the vet or go wherever we needed to go. And it was a challenge. So, working with cats over those years, I really learned that those things need to be permanent objects for cats. Make your carrier a part of your home. I know that not everybody likes the way they look, and you don't have to put it out in the open. You really don't. You can put it in a closet. You can put it, I kept mine under the side table in the living room for a really long time. You can take the door off while it's at home and just allow it to be a cave. A lot of us get those really fancy cave beds for our cats. That can be their cave. It can be just like with our dogs that, we encourage kennel training with them. we should encourage the same with our cats. It's not going to work for all of them, but I know that when I put my carrier down, my cat Bite runs right into it. Yeah. She's like chirping as she's running into her carrier.
It's a place of solitude for them.
And Kamiko's the same. No, I used a backpack for her, which is not fear-free, but for her it is. So this is where it changes.
Individual,
yes,
right?
She's an individual. And for her, that backpack is her safe place. I'll find her sleeping in her backpack all the time. She has no issue getting in there. They both yell the entire way. That's probably never going to change. But they're ready and willing to get in those carriers every single time, knowing where they're going to go. And it's because it is a safe place for them.
Right. How many times do we get the phone call with clients saying they're running late because they can't get their cat in the carrier?
Yeah.
Replacing that habit and keeping it out in the open, like you're saying, will eliminate that, hopefully. That's the end goal. So I think that's a super key component to cat visits, as far as whether it's either fear-free or not fear-free. It's just a really good added bonus to our cat owners and how they can easily get their pets to the vet.
Yes. And I know we were talking about, different dogs and cats require different things.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of, he's my favorite fear-free boy. We've known him since he was a baby. Like, Dad went to get him when he was prime ready to go, and we would hold him and love on him. And even with all the love, affection, and treats he was getting during his visits, he was not enjoying himself.
No.
So there was some aggression that started presenting, and Dad, again, the owner was phenomenal. He was incorporating training. He was spending time with him. He was everything that you would want in a dog owner.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't enjoying his time at the vet, basically. So he was starting to react to us. And this wasn't, when they come in that young, you don't want to ever have to put a muzzle on that dog. You don't ever want to have to do that, because you are growing with them. They're growing with you.
Yep.
So it kind of hurt my feelings when he started.
It did.
It did.
Because he was such a adorable little puppy that was giving us all this love and these kisses, and then just kind of the change, right? Like, I feel like as he grew, there was a very obvious change in his behavior from us just doing the normal things that we were doing, trying to help him out. So as far as the vet visit goes.
But one thing that we did very right there was keeping his owner completely in the loop about how he was reacting to us.
Yes.
And even involving him in certain things, because in Fear-Free, we do, if we can't do it ourselves in the treatment area, we may look at each other and say, do you think he'd do better with Dad?
Yeah.
And that's when we go talk to the owner. Now, some owners, we can just tell, aren't that comfortable being involved in that part of the care. But we knew he was. We could definitely tell he was there for it. So we went in the room, and in the exam room, and we asked Dad to help out. So he actually got to witness the way that he was reacting, and was, as a dad, was a little disappointed in his behavior, because he was not like that at home. That is not who that dog is. Right. And I knew that too. So we encouraged, all the Fear-Free things. We learned more about this dog over time. And he did end up being one of our special, he has only certain technicians he can be with.
Yes.
Those technicians do introduce new technicians, because obviously, life takes us on journeys. We may have to go somewhere. Yep. One of my previous technicians, Christina, was alongside me. She was one of the only ones at last year that could truly work with T'Challa.
Oh, he's a big boy
now. He's a big boy. Yes, he grew into a large grown man. And he's the most beautiful. He really is. But going in to see him now, we see Dad, and Dad is at ease at these appointments. He knows exactly what to expect at the appointments. And even T'Challa knows exactly what to expect at these appointments.
Yeah,
but
routine.
I'm able to communicate with my team now. This is what we do with him. This is what to expect from him. And even onboarding new doctors at my hospital, I have had to really introduce T'Challa as a Fear-Free, but he has by far been my favorite, because it goes to show that dogs, even when placed in the right environment, they're going to have personalities of their own.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter all the time what we train or instill or guide them with. They're still going to have these certain reactions to things, just like people do. When we're fearful, when we have anxiety, when we have stress, we react in different ways than we would when we feel normal or calm or peaceful.
Yep.
So the fact that we would expect our pets to act any differently, it is crazy on our behalf.
It is, and I feel like it's important to talk about the different ways. So what do the visits look like? Because I know there's a lot of different ways to portray fear-free, but like for T'Challa, I feel like he was more hands off. He did not like to act physically restrained. So a lot of his handling was compliance based, asking him to sit because we knew he knew commands, getting him more into a corner as opposed to letting him kind of wiggle around and jump around to kind of help navigate where we needed him to be, but more on his terms.
Yes.
I feel like those are super important things to implement with each patient, because fear-free is, yes, that blanket, but it's so heavily reliant on behavior.
Yes, that's
right?
Why it's so tailored.
It is super tailored to behavior. If you know anything about animals, or with working with animals, rather, behavior is the biggest key component. So fear-free is not impossible at every hospital. It's just about how you manage that behavior.
So T'Challa is my pillar in my fear-free career. Who is yours?
I have one special dog that has been a good pillar for me as well when it comes to fear-free in my hospital. His name is Waffles. Waffles was feared at first when he would come in. He was not the tallest guy and not the biggest dog, but the technicians did struggle with him a lot. He was afraid. He was genuinely afraid to be here for the visits, especially when it came to nail trims, which I feel like we find that more times than not. The feet are just a weird thing for dogs, and that's okay. We work through it. So I had seen, a couple visits with Waffles, and they didn't seem like they were getting any better. If anything, they were getting worse. And I decided, okay, well, let me try to implement some of the fear-free techniques that we have and see if he is going to be reciprocating that. So instead of, having a few technicians helping, I asked everybody to give space. Hey, maybe he's a less is more kind of a dog. We also find that more times than not, too. Even if you have a couple technicians in the back, whether or not they're helping you or not helping you, just the amount of bodies in the area does put the dogs on alert. It makes them feel like, whoa, there's a lot of people in this room. I need to escape. And I feel like Waffles was just like that. So we lessened the amount of people. I brought on my fear-free little snack pack with some good treats. And the first visit with him wasn't pretty. It really wasn't. I talked to the owner about my ideas and how I wanted to go forward with his visits and asked her if she'd like to join that fear-free ride with me. And she was very compliant, said, okay, yeah, what does that look like? So, and I would take Waffles to the back with me. I'd get him on the scale. I'd have my treats out. So every time he did something that I wanted him to do or that he was comfortable doing, I would give him those treats. And then it was time to tackle the nail trim. So, of course, at first, in my best interest and certainly in his best interest, we decided to continue with the muzzle until I could get him to be more compliant with giving me his paws and slowly trimming those nails. Fear-free, I feel like, is not, it's very fluid, right? So one day is going to be a great day. The next day may not be the best because dogs, just like you were saying earlier, they are their own individual people, and sometimes they come in and they're in awesome moods, they're ready to go, and sometimes maybe their owner took their favorite bone away before they got here and now they're really upset about it, you know. So not T'Challa, we're talking about Waffles now. Waffles got to the point with the repetitiveness of our visits because we had him coming in, I think every other month or so. The clients were doing it, and they're still doing it to this day. It's been over a year now. We were able to not only trim his nails but grind them, which is more of a sensation for the dogs. They usually don't like that as well. So now when Waffles comes in, I sit on the floor with him. There's no muzzle involved. There's no other technicians involved. It's just me, Waffles, and the nail grinder. The treats kind of have been eliminated too, depending on the visit. And we literally sit on the floor, and it doesn't matter if it takes me 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get his nails done, as we just do it, me and him together. And the technicians know when he comes on the schedule that Waffles is here for Nicole. That's me. He's probably one of the few pets that I am solely involved with, just based off of building rapport with the owners and that pet individually itself. So it's been really nice to be able to continue to show my team not only why Fear Free is as important as it is, but to have the, again, compliance with the client. That's all they want. Now they work on that stuff at home too. Mm-hmm. Just like T'Challa's dad, you know, she was like, okay, what are we doing? I want this to be the best visit for my pet each time. That's like really the best thing about Fear Free is getting everybody on board.
It is. And I think just, you know, like you said, talking to the owner, getting that game plan together, really having open communication about all the tools that are available right out of the gate.
Yes.
Even if we don't need these things on board, that owner knowing that they have those things, that these are things that we can try, because it is hard to talk about these things. It's hard to say that something's not working.
Yeah.
And it can be a little embarrassing for them to say, hey, that's not working. The treats aren't enough, or the conditioning isn't enough.
Or I don't have enough time.
Yeah. So providing these owners with the tools at home before the visits, that's going to be one of our biggest, strongest things that we can do as technicians. So, you know, visiting websites like fearfreepets.com, just coming into the locations and talking with, you know, any of the technicians, any of the team about what is Fear Free and what can it mean for you, or just giving us a call. Really, you don't have to bring the pet, but you can call any one of our locations and say, what can I have a high anxiety dog and I'm really worried about bringing him in. I want to make this good for him. Can I talk to you about what we can do Fear Free? And you obviously don't have to say it just like that, but you could say, hey, what's Fear Free? And any one of us is going to help introduce that to you. And we're going to be there to help guide you through the entire process. Like I said, it is mostly for the owners and the pets, but it's also for us. It really is. This is a challenging field to work in, and having Fear Free as a tool, and it makes it more enjoyable. It really does.
Yeah, it certainly does.
You know, I enjoy seeing our patients happy and healthy and excited to see us. When I see a dog who is afraid to be there or stressed out, it's a challenge now. I'm like, how can I make this good for you?
Yeah, like,
what do I gotta do to make you happy right
what's
now?
the thing we give to you that makes it all go away? Yes. I was going through my phone just the other day and came across a picture. I don't remember the dog's name, but it's me with this dog, and like the caption of it literally said, the owner told me the pet had never come to the vet without a muzzle. And it was me with a plate of dog food right next to that dog, like in their face, the dog just eating from the food in my hand. Like, so it's those like winning moments where it's like that dog has always had to be muzzled at the vet, but here I am, solid proof with this dog. It's not muzzled, and it's just enjoying its visit.
Yeah, but that's what makes it more than worth it. It really does. Nicole, thank you for being here today. We started our journey with Fear Free together over 4 years ago now, and I have to say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of what we've done with Fear Free. We've definitely made it much more, what is the word?
I want to say almost like accessible, because people didn't realize the amount of things that could be considered fear-free now. And I feel like we've kind of taken that, lifted the veil, and said like, hey, you can do this no matter what your time frame is, as long as you have that communication. It's all about communication. And I'm super proud of where we've come with it too. And I owe a lot of that to you and our previous hospital together, and that doctor that really kind of gave us the motivation to do it, you know, because we were facing a bit of adversity in the beginning. And I'm really proud of how it's blossomed, and I think it's even leaked into some of our other sister hospitals.
Oh, it
too.
absolutely has. I have seen it firsthand in all of our hospitals at Forever Vets. Every one of them does practice fear-free.
That's so cool.
It's just, I think that Bartram, Market, and Beach do, you know, we do it to the fullest.
Yeah.
We start at home, and our fear-free visits don't end until after they get back home. So, and we really do focus on that part of it. But again, there is a culture for everybody, and I think that is one of the most beautiful things about Forever Vets, is that there's culture in each hospital, and you'll find the right one. You will.
Yeah, just give any one of our hospitals a call. Talk to them about fear-free and what ways they can implement that for your pet, because if it's not one, it could be another one. And whatever is going to work best for your pet and you is what we want at the end of the day.
Thanks everyone for listening. We are Forever Vets, locally owned and operated in Jacksonville, Florida. Visit us at forevervets.com to find out more about our community events, monthly promotions, and more specifics on animal care. Don't forget to catch our episode next week.